What's going on, everybody? My name is Eason. Welcome back to another video. Today we're getting into Unit 3 for AP Computer Science A. So we're going to be taking a break from the classes and objects, and we're going to be using booleans pretty much throughout this whole unit. So remember, those return as either true or false. Alright, let's get into 3.1 because we got to start from the beginning. So we're going to be comparing different values. So let's do it. Let's make an integer. Okay, I just want to see where it should indent to. Integer A is going to be equal to 5. Integer B is going to be 2.5 times 2. Let's say this is an integer. We have to make an integer. So let's cast it because 2.5 is a double. And then we'll do double C is equal to 5.0. Alright, here we go. So let's compare our values. And how are we going to do that? Let me get rid of some of this extra white space we do not need. So system.out.println is going to print a comparison. So let's say A is equal to C. So if A is equal to C, it's going to print out true. Now, as you can see here, we're going to get an error because we are basically assigning C to the value of A. To the A variable. So C is now the value of A. Now, it's not going to actually do that because we're in a print statement. So how are we going to test for equivalence in Java? In most programming languages, you're going to do this. You're going to do A double equals C. And as you can see, we have no error anymore because it's now testing for equivalence. So when we run our code, it's going to see, is 5 equal to 5.0? And it's going to say true because 5 is technically equal to 5. Because the double version of A is 5.0 and the integer version of C is 5. So it's going to compare this. Now, I want to show you something really, really cool. Let's compare A to B. Alright, here we go. So 2.5 times 2 is 5.0, but it's casting as an integer. However, it is going to return false. So, very, very interesting thing that I wanted to show you. What if we did A is equal to, no, let's do B is equal to C. What about that? Because C is a double, so maybe it'll see the double and return true. Well, let's see how that prediction gets us. It's still not going to work. It's still going to return false. Oh, no. Now, another thing we can do to compare primitive values and reference values, we can use another relational operator, the not equal to. So let's say A is not equal to C. So it's going to be exclamation point equals, and that's going to be the not equal to, because exclamation point is not. I think we learned this in our last video. So if A is not equal to C, it's going to print true. If it's equal to C, it's going to print false. So A is equal to C, so it is going to print false. So, yeah, what if we did A is not equal to B? Then it's going to return true. So that's very, very cool. Let's, we don't need this anymore. So that was just basic comparisons with numbers. Let's try strings, though. So let's do string first name equals James. Then we'll do string middle name equals Derek with the like that, and then string last name is going to be equal to Barrett. Just random names. Okay, so we have our, I spelled string wrong. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to use our arithmetic expression values to compare, we're going to be using our relational operators to compare our arithmetic expression values. So what does that mean exactly? Well, what this means exactly is we can see if the length of first name is greater than or less than or equal to the length of last name. So let's see. Let's do first name dot length. We learned this in the Unit 2 video. Is less than last name dot length. Well, is that true? What is first name's length? It is 5. What is last name's length? It is 7. So this is going to return true because 5 is indeed less than 7. Let's do another one. Let's do greater than, or let's do another less than actually. Let's do first name dot length. Remember, it's a method, so we have to have our parentheses there. Is less than middle name dot length. Now they are the same length. Derek is 5 letters and James is 5 letters. So what's going to happen when we run our code? What is it going to return? It is going to print out false because it's equal to. It's not less than. It's still equal to. Now, is there a less than or an equal to that we can do? Yes, there is. I'm just going to copy this whole line. Voila. And we're just going to set this to less than or equal to. And how are we going to do that? Well, it's less than equal to. Literally how it's spelled. So, is first name dot length less than or equal to middle name dot length? Yes, it is. It is equal to it. Oh, I have an extra parentheses. Uh-oh. Now it's going to work. So, is first name dot length less than middle name dot length? No, but is it equal to it? Yes. So, it is going to return true. Hooray. Awesome. Okay. Let's do greater than or equal to. So, let's do system.out.println. Let's do if last name dot length is greater than or equal to. Greater than goes to the left. Middle name dot length. Then it'll print out true, but it isn't. It is greater than, because last name's length is 7 and middle name's length is 5. 7 is greater than 5, so it is going to return true. So when we print this out, yep, it'll return true. Let's do one more. System.out.println. I love booleans. First name dot length is greater than middle name dot length. So is first name dot length greater than middle name dot length? Well, let's see. They are the same, so it's not going to be greater than it. They're actually equal to it. So it's going to print out, you guessed it, false. Very, very cool. And those are our relational operators. And any expression involving relational operators evaluates to a Boolean value. Awesome. That's very, very cool. Okay, let's remove all this, and we're going to hop into 3.2. So yeah, we just finished 3.1. Yay, exciting. All right, so let's remove all of this. I'll clear my output, and let's bring back those numbers we did. So we'll do integer a equals 5, integer, let's move these back a little bit so my code's a little bit more organized. Integer b equals cast, integer 2.5 times 2, and double C is equal to 5.0. Okay, so now we're on 3.2. Very, very cool. So now we're going to be doing if statements. And actually, yeah, we'll just do if statements. How about that? So yeah, 3.2 is just on the if statements. And then 3.3 is on if-else statements, and 3.4 is on else statements. But we're going to do all of it. Yay, exciting. So, what we're going to do with these numbers I've created, remember that from 3.1 we just figured out that A is not equal to B. So, that's something to just kind of keep in mind. So, let's write an if statement. So, let's say if A is equal to C, it's going to print out a message saying they're the same. So, let's do if, and then our argument, our condition, if A is equal to C, remember we're using the double equals to test for equivalence. 1 equals gives the same value, it reassigns a value. And then we're going to use a pair of curly braces to write what happens if A is equal to C. And all we want to happen is we just want to print out A and C are the same. Very, very cool. So let's run our code. So if A is equal to C, if 5 is equal to 5.0, is going to print out A and C are the same. And it is, so it's going to print out A and C are the same. Let's write another one. If B is not equal to C, let's do system.out.println. B and C are not the same, because we're testing if they're not equal to C. So let's see. Is B not equal to C? It is not equal to C, so it is going to print out B and C are not the same. Let's do one more. If 5.0 is equal to A, actually, let's do if 5.0 is not equal to A. Now, what we could do is we could do not equals to, but let's just do if not, then our condition. So what this is going to do is it's basically going to see, is 5.0 equal to A? Yes, but this not is going to cancel out and make it false. So what we're going to do is we're also not going to put a pair of curly braces there. You don't have to put a pair of curly braces if you're going to do one line of an if statement. So all we have to do is just indent a little bit, and then we're going to do system.println A is equal to 5.0. Actually, is not equal to 5.0. So that's what we have to do, because we were testing if it's not equal to. So now let's run our code. And I did not put a pair of not a pair of parentheses, a pair of quotations. So it's just gonna do a bunch of random stuff we don't want. Oh my gosh. If A is not equal to 5, print out A is not equal to 5.0. But it is equal to 5. So It is not going to print this out. Oh no, too bad. So sad. Alright, so those are if statements. That's a one-way selection. And it's written when there is a set of statements to execute under a certain condition. And in this case, the body is executed only when the Boolean condition is true. We can also do like 3 is less than 5, or if C is less than D. We can do that as well. And these conditional statements interrupt the sequential execution of other statements. Now, we did if statements. We learned a lot of if statements. Is there an easier way to do this? Yes. There is else statements, two-way selections. And it's written when there are two sets of statements, an if and else statement. And one is to be executed when the Boolean condition is set to true, and another is to set when the Boolean condition is set to false. So let me show you exactly what I mean. So what we're going to do is that we're going to, let's just remove these bottom two. We don't need them anymore. So, we'll just start over. How about that? So we're going to clear this. That's not how you spell clear. Clear. Oh, did I break it? There we go. Okay. So what we're going to do is that we're going to write an if statement. Well, I mean, we know how to do this by now. If A is equal to C, it's going to print out A is equal to C, right? Like, you know, A and C are the same. So, you know, we established how to do this already. Now, what if they are not the same? Well, we can just say else. So if A is not equal to 5, or we'll do C, sorry, it is 5. So if A is not equal to C, then it's going to print out A and C are not the same. So it's going to look at this. Is A equal to C? If so, print out they are the same. If it's not, print out they're not the same. But they are equal to C. So it is going to print out A and C are the same. Let's do another one. If B is equal to C, print out, B and C are not, B or C are the same. There we go. So if B or C are the same, it's going to print out that. Now what if it's not? We'll do an else statement, and then we'll print out B and C are not the same. So let's see, we're just going to print out A and C are the same, and then on a new line, it's going to print out is B equal to C? No. So it's going to print out B and C are not the same. That's crazy, right? Awesome. Okay, let's do another one. Let's do a else if statement. Oh no, that sounds tricky. It's pretty easy. So what we're going to do is, before our else is always going to be the last part of our selection, our conditionals. So what we're going to do is before else, we're going to write else if. And we're going to put another condition in parentheses. So let's do else if C, let's do else if A is equal to B. Then it'll print out B and A are the same. So let's run our code. Is it going to work? Well, it is going to work, but it's not going to print out our else if statement because B and A are not the same. It's going to print out A and C are the same. So yeah, it's not even going to go to it. So let's remove all this and write a new set of code. I know we're doing this a lot. So if C is less than 0, it's going to print out system.out.println C is negative. Else if C is greater than 0, it's going to print out that C is positive. And then if it's equal to 0, it's going to print out C is equal to 0. Because that's the only other thing that it could be. And we can have also multiple else if statements as well. So we could have 10 of them if we wanted to. But we always have to start with an if statement, and we don't have to always end with an else if or an else statement. Just FYI. So let's run our code. So is C less than 0? No. So is C greater than 0? Yes. So now I was going to print out C is positive. Great. Let's write another one. Oh no. Okay, here we go. If A is equal to B, print out that they are the same. A and B are the same. Now, else if A is not equal to B, then it's going to print out A and B are not the same. And we don't even have to have an else statement anymore. And remember, we're doing the no braces because it's a one-line selection. So what we can do is we can do a set of braces here, else if braces, A and B are not the same, and then we can reassign B to equal to A. So that's pretty cool. So we can have multiple different things to happen with our if-else statement. So now let's run our code. So we're going to say C is positive, and it's going to compare A and B, and they are not the same. So it's going to print out A and B are not the same. However, when we go to system.out.println and A is equal to B, it's going to say, what's it going to say? It's going to say true, because we reassigned B equals to A in our else if statement that did run. And it only ran because our if statement was false. If statements only run if they are true. So yeah, that's just something to note. Very, very cool. So that is 3.2, 3.3, and 3.4 are if, else, and else if statements. Yeah, that's what they are, right? Yeah. We just did all that. Okay, so yeah. Now let's remove all of this code again. Actually, we'll keep our values, and yeah. So let's write some more code. So 3.5 focuses. Actually, I'm going to talk about something. So there are De Morgan's laws and truth tables. If you've never heard of these, that's okay. I may cover them soon, but you're not going to see them in this video. You're not going to see them in my whole Unit 3 review video, or if you're watching the individual one, you're not going to see them. So that's just a thing that I kind of want to point out, just as like a little bit of a FYI. Okay, so let's move into 3.5 now, which is on nested if statements, which kind of sounds really, really cool. Nested if statements consist of if statements inside of if statements. so it's a little tricky. Let's do an example. Let's just continue off what we were doing earlier. So if C is less than 0, we're going to put curly braces, make our life a little bit easier. It's going to run another if statement that says if C remainder of 2 is equal to 0. So if C divided by 2 has a remainder of 0, this is where you kind of really want to start using braces. It makes life a little bit easier. Then it's going to print out C is a negative even number. And then else if, actually we'll just do an else. If else C divided by 2 has a remainder of 1 or higher, then all it's going to do is it's going to print out C is a negative odd number. There we go. So we just have our first if statement. So it's going to run, and if it's less than 0, it's going to do all this. But if we run our code, C is not less than 0. So it's not going to print anything. So we have to write another else if statement now. So let's do else if C is greater than 0. Curly braces. It's going to run an if statement and kind of do the same thing as before. If C, if C remainder is equal to 0, when we divide it by 2, we have a remainder of 0. Then it's going to print out C is a positive even number. C is a positive even number. Yay! And then we can run an else statement in case this is not the case. C is a positive odd number. And then what it's going to do now is that it's going to just run and see if it's a positive odd number. So let's run all of our code now. So is C less than 0? No. Is else if C greater than 0? Yes. If C divided by 2 has a remainder of 0, it's going to write C is an even number. That's not the case, so it has a remainder of 1 when we divide it by 2. So it's going to print out C is a positive odd number when we run our code one of these days. So yeah, see, now it's going to print out C is a positive odd number. So let's do a little bit more tricky stuff. Yes, exciting. All right, so what we're going to do is we will, you know what, we'll just remove all of this, and we're going to do some tricky stuff. So I'm just going to write it out, and I want you to write it out as well, and maybe write it on paper, because you're going to do FRQs one day. And then I want you to determine if the statement is true or not. So if C less than 0, if C is less than 0, and Now, what is this and stuff I'm doing? When we do and, we're going to write two and symbols. So you hit Shift 7, you're going to write the and statements. And the logical operators, not, and or, are used with Boolean values. And this represents the order these operators will be valued. Now, when the result of a logical expression using and or can be determined by evaluating only the first Boolean operand, the second is not evaluated. And this is known as a short circuit evaluation. So I'll show you what this means. So if C is less than 0 and C divided by 2 has a remainder of 0, then we're going to print out C is a positive even number. Good job. Okay. Now let's do an else if C less than 0 and C is not, we're going to put our not there like we did earlier, not before our parentheses, our condition, C is not having a remainder of 0 when it's divided by 2, then it's going to print out C is a negative. I put positive here, so C is a negative odd number. Let's write another one. If C is greater than 0 and it is C divided by 2 has a remainder of 0, then it's going to print out C is a positive even number. And let's write an else statement, and it's just going to say C is a positive odd number. Great, exciting, I know. So let's run our code. Is C less than 0? No, so it's not even going to read the next thing. Why am I getting an issue printing out an else if? Why is it doing this? Else without if. Oh, I have the semicolon after my else if statements. You cannot have semicolons after your else if statements or your if statements or your else. So let's compare how C is a positive odd number because it's going to look at if. So if C is less than 0 and this. So it's just going to look at the C is less than 0. If C is less than 0, no. It's not even going to look at the next one. That's a short circuit evaluation because it's just going to read the first one, determine that it's false, read the and logical operator, and not even read the next one. Else if C is less than 0 and, nope, it's going to move on to the next one because C is not less than 0. Alright, else if C is greater than 0. Yes, that is true. And C divided by 2 has a remainder of 0. No, that is not true. So both the conditions for an and have to be true for it to run. Now let's move on to our else statement, which is the only one left with no condition, and then it's going to print out C as a positive odd number, and that is what we got in our print statement. Very, very cool. Let's do some more practice. We'll just remove this one again. And we'll do some other logical operators, because we've only used 2 of them. If, we'll do a Boolean thing. Boolean, oh my gosh, Boolean valid is equal to true. If valid is equal to true, and C is greater than 5, or C is greater than 10, and valid is equal to true, then it's going to print out valid. Now, I put a lot of conditions here. Let's just see what happens when we run this. And I'm going to let you do some practice after this one, because I'm sure your eyes are like, what is this right now? So, let's see. Okay, so it's not true. So it's not printing out valid. Okay. So let's look at this one by one. So, if valid is equal to true. Alright, valid is equal to true. So let's move on to the next one. And C is greater than 5, it's going to look at that. Nope, it's not greater than 5. However, we have the or. And with an or, only one of the conditions has to be true. But in this case, it's a set of conditions. So this first set of conditions has to be true, or this set has to be true for this code to run. So let's see. If C is greater than 10, no, it's not. So it's not even going to read the next and. So it's not going to print it out. What if we did if C is equal to 5 and valid is equal to true. So let's run this statement again and see what happens. It's going to print out valid because our second set of conditions is true. And with an OR operator, only one set has to be true. What if we did valid is equal to true, and then we do OR C is less than 0 and valid is equal to false? What would it print out? Well, it's going to read our first two sets of OR statements and see that they're not correct. So then it's going to go to our third one, or C is less than 0. That is not true, so it's not going to read our next if statement. So it is going to return false. So yeah, that's what's going to happen. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of practice now. I'm going to put some code up on the screen. I want you to determine what's going to print out when I run it. So yeah, let me put it up there real quick. Okay, so here is a brand new set of code, and I'm just going to run through the variables real quick, and then we'll go through our conditions, and I want you to determine if it's going to return, well, it's going to print out one of these four, but you're going to tell me which one is going to print out. So it's kind of like a multiple choice question. So we have Boolean A, which is equal to true, Boolean B, which is equal to false, Boolean C, which is equal to B, and then B is equal to C. Now you can basically ignore line 7 because B is equal to C, and C is already equal to B, so that's just kind of there to throw you off. All right, and then for this first if statement, I said A or B, and this is just it determining if A or B is equal to true. I didn't cover that before, so that's just something to point out. Okay, let's let you go through this, and I want you to tell me what it's going to print out. Okay, so hopefully you've gone through this, and let's see what's going to happen. So let's go through our first if statement. We have to go from top to bottom. So if A or B is equal to true, A is equal to true, so it's going to go into our if or else if statements. If B is equal to true, or A is equal to C, prints out valid. So is B equal to true? No, but we do have the ORs here. So if A is equal to C, is A equal to C? No. C is equal to false, and A is equal to true. So it's not going to be valid. Let's go to our else if. If B is true, else if not B, if B is not false, and A or B. So this is a little confusing. So is A true? Yes. So it's not going to run B. A is equal to true. So A or B is A. So if not B is and true is what it's basically. It's a little confusing. So I'll comment this. So if not B and true, because A is equal to true. B is false, but it's have the not statement here. So if B, if true, and true. So it is going to be true. This whole expression is going to be true right here. So it's going to print out not valid. Now let's go through these next ones and determine why they're not going to print out. So if B is equal to true, or A and C, but it's going to be not. So let's see what this would do. So is B equal to true? No. However, we have to do the OR. Is A equal to true? No. Yes. Is C equal to true? No. So this AND statement's not going to work. So this is going to be false, but it's going to return true because of the not operator. So it could print out maybe valid, but it's not going to because not valid is true. And then the next one, if not B, so it's going to be true because B is false, so not B would be true, or A and B, that's going to be, false, because A and B are not both true. So it's still going to print out true because of the OR operator. So both these conditions are actually true. But this first one comes first, so it's going to print out not valid when I run my code. Now, if you're still confused with it, which you probably are, I want you to go in and really practice doing this. And just write tons of code, analyzing booleans, and all of that. And then the last thing I really just want to cover is with objects. In comparing objects. So 3.7. I'm just going to do this really, really quickly. So we're going to do a string object. We're going to call it A, and it's equal to new string. We learned this in Unit 2. We're just going to call it, I'll just do Eason. Why not? And then string B is going to be equal to A. Actually, no. We have to do new string A. And then what it's going to do is if A dot equals B, we can use the equal method because we're using objects. So often classes have their own equals method, which can be used to determine whether two objects of a class are equivalent. So we're using the string class, and these two are objects. A and B are our objects. So if A is equal to B, it's going to print out line same. And then if this is not true, it's going to print out different. So we're comparing our objects. A is equal to B because B has the value of A, so it's going to print out same. So that's how you just compare objects. And two object references are considered aliases when they both reference the same object. Kind of weird, I know. So yeah, that is 3.7, and that is Unit 3 for Computer Science A. It's actually a pretty easy unit, kind of short compared to Unit 2, which had so much just different stuff in it. So yeah, I do have a Unit 3 practice test, which should be up by the time this video is up, which is pretty simple and straightforward with MCQs and FRQs. There's an answer key for it and all that cool stuff. So go check that out. The link's in the description down below. Please like and subscribe. It's free. It really does help me out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.